Good afternoon. It's truly an honor to be here today. Not many people get the opportunity to say thank you to the very group that changes lives like mine. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. If you would have met me a few years ago, I would have been the last person you chose as a student representative. In fact, if you were my principal, you'd be meeting with me every other day discussing my behavioral problems and the consequences that came along with them. I guess you could say the office was technically my own classroom, and I'm sure I had an A+ in there. I was a student that the teachers talked about in the lounge saying, "Good luck with that head case next year." But most importantly, I was a future high school dropout. See, the problem is I was an honor student, and even through all my complications, I was still maintaining a 3.2 GPA. I guess the only positive thing that came out of meeting with my principal every day was the fact that he got to know who I really was, and he realized my potential while everybody else had predestined my future. In 8th grade, I was notified that I was enrolled in a program called Avid. At first, I was reluctant to stay, but my principal told me, just try it out for a few days, and if you don't like it, I'll take you out. I took his advice and ended up falling in love with the program. It was filled with a group of students all working towards the same goal, college. What inspired me the most was to see students going through some of the same things I was, or sometimes even worse, but the only difference was that they were motivated towards a greater future. I guess all this joy, determination, and motivation was contagious because at the end of that year, I found myself with a 4.0 GPA and only one visit to the office. That visit was to receive my Masonic Award, which is only given to 2 students in every district for good deeds, good citizenship, and good grades. I came into high school with a new mindset, a new personality, and a new future. Not only did Avid flip my path into a total opposite direction, but it continued to stabilize my future. With Avid, I went on field trips to universities and learned about college life. These trips gave me a feel of the university itself and motivated me to keep pushing forward because in the end it'll all be worth it. With Avid, I was given an opportunity to be a student speaker for Orange County United Way and later was declared the Youth Ambassador of 2013, meaning I was a student representative for my entire generation. The most humbling experience was when CEO of United Way Worldwide, Brian Gallagher, visited our high school. From the very moment Mr. Gallagher stepped into our classroom, he was very welcoming and honest. He shared his experiences growing up from childhood to adulthood years and all the way up to a successful career now. I think what everyone enjoyed at that moment was that we could all relate to him in some shape or form. While he spoke of his life, he reminded us of how nothing comes easy in life. It requires hard work, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's impossible to reach. He also reminded us that there's one thing that no one can ever take away from you, and that's your education. I'll never forget the moment when he was leaving as I approached him and thanked him for his visit. We spoke of how our lives were very similar, and at the end of our conversation, he hugged me and told me, "You're going to be someone great in the future. Keep working hard. Never give up." At that moment, my past flashed back to me, all the adversities, everything I had been through in the past few years. You might be thinking that these are a few couple of words, but when your whole life you've been told that you can't or you're not good enough, these few words transform into the most motivational words someone could give you. If you ask my peers to describe my life now, they tell you it's a life that anybody would love to have. I'm the upcoming ASB president at my school. I have friends who care about me. I have a mother who I consider my best friend, and I have a whole stack of college mail at home waiting to be opened. However, just like any protagonist in our books, I've had to overcome my own share of hardships. Throughout my life, I've had to constantly remind myself of my favorite quote by Peter Marshall. When we long for life without difficulty, remind us that oaks grow strong under contrary winds, and diamonds are made under pressure. My sophomore year began with the most devastating part of my high school career, the separation of my parents. For a moment, I felt like everything I had worked for was worthless. I was pushed back to step 0. I wanted to give up. I couldn't focus on schoolwork. My basketball coach constantly complained about my lack of effort, and I distanced myself from my loved ones, all because I assumed that I possibly might have been the cause of my parents' breakup. I kept making excuses for my current failures, and it just seemed like I was stuck in a tunnel that never ended. But luckily, I was blessed to have an inspirational Avid teacher and mentor who not only guided me academically, but was there for me personally. She's here on the stage, and I'm sorry. Her name is Lisa Bajikin, and she was the light to my tunnel. Not only did she help me get back up on my feet emotionally and mentally, but she inspired me to keep moving forward, to look on the brighter side of things. Life is not about the destination, it's about the journey, she said. I didn't want my future to be dependent on people feeling sorry for me, so I decided to turn this adversity into determination to succeed. Astonishingly, that year I finished with a 4.2 GPA, and I came out twice as strong, emotionally and mentally, than when I entered my sophomore year. To this day, this amazing woman, my Avid teacher, is one of the most impactful figures in my life. I don't know where I'd be without her. And I just want to take a second to honor her and all you Avid teachers who go out of your way to make a difference in your students' lives. It took great tragedies to get to this point in my life, but if you ask me, I wouldn't change a thing. These changes and experiences in my life have helped me define who I am and what I plan to do. I plan to enroll in a four-year university, perhaps Dartmouth or Columbia, and like Mr. Gallagher, go into international relations and business and maybe be a CEO of an NGO myself. My motivation behind this career choice is because I've learned that there are a lot of things that aren't fair. It's not fair that we have no problem spending a few dollars on what is basically glorified tap water in a bottle with a fancy label on it, while at the same time there are entire communities who suffer at the hands of the disease because the only water they have access to is foul and polluted. It's not fair that there's a generation choking on their own obesity, while at the same time 30,000 children will die today due to lack of food. It's not fair that we can sit and watch the evening news from the comfort of our living rooms and pity those who lived where the ground shook or where the water rose and simply feel sorry for them, and then change the channel as if nothing really happened. I guess the only fair thing to say is that when we forsake the lives of others, we forsake our own. I wanted to thank everyone who didn't forsake mine. Because of Avid, I'm able to find my path. Because of Avid, I'm determined to graduate and go to college. Because of Avid, I'm going to make a difference in this world. You make dreams come true. Thank you so much.